For as long as I can remember, I've had an interest in what some people condescendingly term conspiracy theory. You see, I was born November 22nd, the anniversary of John F. Kennedy's assassination. And every year on my birthday, there's been televised specials on practically every channel talking about magic bullets, grassy knolls, other shooters, as well as CIA, FBI, and mafia involvement. Even by the age of 10, this spoke to me. And of course there were UFOs, the Illuminati, occult Nazis, organized satanic networks, faked moon landings, and CIA mind control programs. Hell, even if this is all bullshit, it was fun to read about. It was in 2000 that I first discovered David Icke's book, The Biggest Secret. In it he writes about a global conspiracy, a hidden hand manipulating humanity's destiny through the shadows, using those who seem to be in power. And the goal of these shadow people? Nothing less than an Orwellian global superstate with total control at the hands of an ancient reptilian shape-shifting race. So we took a ferry to the Isle of Wight to spend the day with David Icke, Britain's leading conspiracy evangelist and the one man standing between us and total enslavement.
Hey! Kev,
Mr.
nice to
Icke.
meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good trip.
Yes, it was.
Welcome to my abode. There's not much to see, but I like it.
What do we got here?
Well, this is things that I've collected over the years. This is fantastic. Someone in Hawaii actually painted this. This is what the painting is. This is the original of the front cover of my last book, Human Race Get Off Your Knees, The Lion Sleeps No More. And I asked my great friend, an artist called Neil Haig, to paint this picture for me with particularly those eyes. And that's humanity saying, no more, enough, no more little me, we're not having it anymore.
In 1991, David Icke didn't believe in secret shape-shifting lizard fascists. He was a television celebrity. After arthritis had ended a promising career in football, he'd become a broadcaster. But that all ended in one remarkable appearance on the Terry Wogan Show.
David Icke.
In a turquoise tracksuit, he'd announced that he was the son of God, and the world would be ending that year. It didn't, and Icke seemed destined to disappear beneath a typhoon of public laughter.
So it's quite funny, really. You know, 2,000 years ago, had a guy called Jesus sat here and said these same things, you would still be laughing. It's really funny that we've not really moved on that much.
They're laughing at you. They're not laughing with you.
Fine.
But Icke wouldn't disappear. He began to write. And over a series of increasingly successful books, he began to outline his philosophy. Humankind was not in charge of its destiny. It was the unwitting prisoner of a race of shape-shifting lizards who occupied the roles in the highest echelons of society. From presidents to royal families, all trusted public figures were secretly part of a reptilian, Satanist pedophile group who had been on this planet for centuries. People began to take notice of Icke, and today he spends most of his year preaching to amphitheaters full of fans. He's still making startling revelations, and recently he declared the moon to be a hollowed-out planetoid space station from which our minds are controlled. The lizard's very own Death Star.
Don't mention the reptiles.
Don't mention the reptiles, yeah. Because there were people, when this started to come in, people who were kind of into my stuff, up to that point, which was kind of regular fight. Well, it was a bit strange because it was all the way the war was manipulated by a few people, but it was all kind of regular stuff. And then I came across with this stuff, and it was
Get
like,
it out of the way.
Don't mention the reptiles. They'll just laugh at you again. I said, I know, but I've seen enough and heard enough to believe that it's real, and so I say it. I don't care about the consequences for me. Are you frightened? No. I'm not. I don't care, because the consequences for the world and my children and my grandchildren and everyone else's of humans not intervening in this process that's going on now ever more quickly are that we are condemning our children and grandchildren, indeed ourselves. It's that close to a world that George Orwell so massively understated.
Can we have a look at where the work gets done, where it all happens?
This is where it all happens, and as you can see, it's really small.
It is really small.
Because You know, I look at my life, and I don't see my life as a life anymore. I haven't for a while. I see it as a job.
Mm. So this is the new one.
Yeah, this is this is the German version, isn't it? Look at the size of it.
Yeah.
350,000 words. That, in one book, is the scale of information that has come into my life about these things. See, that is not a theory. That is evidence supporting a fact.
What was like the first book that really struck you? Because I know there was a couple for me, but you're familiar with Robert Anton Wilson? And I just liked it because it was funny and it tied a lot of points of interest together, and he sort of pointed me in different directions. Even though he wasn't really a conspiracy theorist trying to say anything, he put things together I never saw. You know, he'd connect dots that had never occurred to me, which turned me to like Holy Blood, Holy Grail, and some of these.
I mean, that you just hit the nail right on the head of my work and what you need to do to understand what's going on. Connect the dots. Mm. See, there are dots like banking, government, all these different things. 9/11, which in and of themselves are interesting, and you can see that something's not right. But when you connect the dots between apparently unconnected people and situations and organizations, that's when the tapestry appears and you go, whoa, so that's what's happening.
David had told us that his first moment of enlightenment had occurred when a voice entered his head while shopping with his son on the seafront.
This is the newsagent I told you about, where basically it all started. I was walking along here and I walked in this door and turned to where Gareth was reading his Spin Train books, and this is where it happened, just the other side of this door, where I'm like, what's going on? Go and look at the books on the far side. What? And that's where it started, 1990, March 1990. And I never thought it was going to lead where it has, but it has. Yeah.
Well, it's a great beginning. Platform fun.
In simple terms, there is a predator race which take a reptilian form. They're feeding off humanity. They've turned humanity into a slave race. They demand human sacrifice. That's where Satanism comes in. They feed off human energy, particularly feed off the energy of children.
David's latest revelations have been about the moon. Far from a lump of benign rock orbiting us, it is in fact an artificial construct, a gigantic spacecraft, probably a hollowed-out planetoid. It is from the moon that the nefarious Illuminati manipulate the collective human mind, warping our perception of reality.
I'm saying it's broadcasting something, that it acts as a blocking frequency that stops us seeing and perceiving things that we would normally perceive. That is creating what I call the moon matrix, or the Saturn moon matrix, and it's basically having the effect of the fake reality in the Matrix movies.
I guess that makes David the Isle of Wight's very own Neo. According to Icke, the Isle of Wight is a world within a world, with Freemasonry and Satanism at its center. The ancient ley lines scoring the landscape make it a powerful spiritual hub. I think the plan is he's going to show us this stone, which is part of a old stone circle. It's the main one where apparently satanic rituals happen on a regular basis. So this is a place here then where you think these rituals, or you know these rituals.
These rituals definitely go on at this place up here.
Is this?
It's called the Long Stone. In fact, there's two stones. One's on its side and one's standing up, and it's a beautiful walk this direction.
Let's go. After you.
Cheers,
sir.
mate. It opens out eventually, and you get a fantastic view. It's interesting when you look at the traits. This is mainstream science. When you look at the traits of what we call the reptilian brain, reptilian genetics, which we all have. One of the traits is an obsession with ritual. So, when you look at all the pomp and ceremony of the royal family, you know, with Buckingham Palace and all this stuff, and all the ceremonies and the guards and the horses and the colours, you're looking at ritual.
But you say that the people that actually live on the island are part of this. There are people, there's a network on the island that are...
Big time. I mean, the Isle of Wight is a beautiful place, and if you pick up the higher levels, the vibrational levels of it, it's a very pleasant place to be. But my goodness me, there is a network of Freemasons, Satanists, and paedophiles that run this island.
And this is
they run its
police,
government,
the government, everything. We're almost here at the top.
Oh,
see
nearly.
There it is. The long stone.
There we go. It's funny, you know, you come on a day like this. It's a nice day, and there's families around, and you see these stones. You could see these on May the 1st, Halloween, that kind of, in these ritual periods of the year.
And you'd be a totally different story.
You would see something very different
so
here.
This is the center point of this energy then,
Yeah.
that they're trying to tap into.
What they would do, among many other things, you'd have them in their robes and hoods all around here, and you probably have, you would have the sacrifice on the slab
This is
here.
the altar.
This is their altar, yeah. And what they're doing, it's horrible, but let's get the truth out. What they're doing is manipulating the sacrifice. The sacrifice knows the sacrifice is coming, and who's going to help them? Look,
Right.
at midnight or something. No one. And what they then do is they sacrifice the victim, and they drink the blood immediately, which has this chemical substance in it, and they go crazy. I mean, you know, I've talked to people who've been at these rituals, and how once the sacrifice happens and the blood runs, these people go crazy with blood. There was a man called Stanley Kubrick, the great filmmaker.
I think I've heard of him.
Stanley Kubrick was an insider, and he wanted to expose it. And his last movie was called Eyes Wide Shut.
I've seen it.
Now, Eyes Wide Shut, he died very, very soon after it was presented to executives at the film company, and was given no fanfare whatsoever when it came out.
Didn't they re-edit the hell out of it as well?
Yes, they did. They took 25 minutes out of it, which he refused to do. Now, he filmed a ritual with Tom Cruise in it, in which I only know more recently was a Rothschild mansion. And what he filmed is a mild version of what goes on, because he knew. And you had the colours. You have most people in the ritual in Eyes Wide Shut were in black. The main guy was in red. Here we go again.
Yeah.
You had the orgies going on, and you had the people being killed, the lady being killed. But that was such a mild version. I don't know what was in the 25 minutes they took out, mind, because the real version is that there's blood every bloody way. We see a hierarchy in the public arena of president, secretaries of state, of prime minister, secretaries of state, down.
Yeah.
That's the public hierarchy. The real hierarchy in the shadows is the occult hierarchy. And if you're higher in the occult hierarchy, the satanic hierarchy, which is incredibly hierarchical, it's all hierarchical, then you have more power over someone higher than you in the public hierarchy.
You know, people familiar with your work would know that you've made some predictions over the years, and they've come to pass. I mean, I think this may be part of the reason why people are really starting to pick up on your work. Something like the internet, what do you see happening? I mean, because at the moment, this is how people are getting information spread to each other. It seems, at least at the moment, to be relatively free in most countries. What do you see happening there?
The big thing that they're going to say is, because of the danger of terrorism and terrorists communicating on the internet, these things have to be stopped.
Yeah.
I mean, what did Cameron say after the London riots? We may have to talk about censoring Twitter and Facebook. And Bill Clinton, and when Bill Clinton, like Tony Blair or George Bush or anybody, when they open their mouths, it's the Rothschild speaking. And just a few months ago, Bill Clinton came out and said we need basically a censor organization, a ministry of truth, to police the internet and to stop people. He specifically talked about people who are spreading rumors on the internet and are not true. They are true, Bill, okay. They're in my books. There's documentaries about it. They're true. Go away. Drink your milk.
Do people just turn up at your door, though? I'm sure you have fans that
Well, they
find
do.
out where...
Yeah, I hope they're not fans. I hope they're not followers, or they're not listening. But yeah, I have people come quite a lot, from time to time. I'm a very private person, you see. It's one of the strange things about my life, really. I guess you call it a paradox, but I don't suppose it is, really. And that's that almost everything I've done in my life has been a public profession. I was a footballer. Then I became a journalist and a television presenter. Then I was a national spokesman for the Green Party. Then I did this, of course. And yet I'm an incredibly private person. And you know, I talk to thousands at an event, and I love it. I just love being there. It's like being in another reality. There's a massive interaction going on energetically between the audience and me. You feel what humanity is behind the programming and behind the false sense of limitation and I can't and little me. You feel the true magnitude of what we are coming off the audience.
What we need is not compliance, we need a non-comply dance. Where we beat to a different drum and we dance to a different drum. Where we refuse to acquiesce to this control system that seeks to enslave us even more than it already has. Non-comply dance. Do this, comply. No. No. Enough. It's time to fly. It's time to fly. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's funny, Kev, you've brought me here, and it's kind of a real strange, kind of spooky, kind of surreal feeling, because I used to stand here. I was a little boy. I could just about see over the top of this bloody fence. Same fence, I think it is anyway, repainted. And I used to watch the steam trains come up, and I wanted to be a footballer, and I wanted I love steam trains and all the rest of it. And nearly 60 years later, I'm standing in the same spot, and I've been talking to you about a moon bloody matrix, shape-shifting reptilians, a few families run the bloody world. I mean, whatever happened to you? Just keep watching the steam trains. All the trouble you've got me into. And it's just a strange where life goes. You never know where it goes, so all you can do is enjoy the moment. And I love this moment when I was watching those steam trains. I was in my heaven. And standing here, I'm in another kind of heaven, because given what happened 20 years ago and many years after that, I was ridiculed in the street, called a nutter, and I couldn't fill a phone box. And now suddenly it's so different. It just shows that if you keep walking and believe in what you're doing, then something comes out the other end, and it's just beginning to.
Even within conspiracy circles, David Icke is a controversial figure. Many view him as a harmless eccentric, while others claim he must be an agent provocateur, discrediting conspiracies by mixing documented fact with wild allegations of rapist reptilians and their artificial moon base. Maybe they're just jealous. Icke has sold over 20 million books worldwide, while his website is an iconic forum for the global esoteric community with over 4 million views a month. So this is David Icke, visionary, multi-million selling author, global icon, one-time messiah, former goalkeeper, and the single greatest threat to the lizard apocalypse. Good luck, my friend.